We're going to talk about another way you can understand what your psychic abilities are that you're not using. Now, this also is a great way to peek in on what is your purpose, being on purpose or being in your mission. What we're going to do is actually observe ourselves in the behaviors that we had as a child, the things that we loved to do as a child. The things that we love to do as a child might indicate how our mission is expressed. Your purpose. Now, your purpose is not a job, and your purpose is not a behavior, and your purpose is not an action, but you can see the behaviors and actions that you did as a child, and they came from your purpose, because that's all children are. You're all purpose. What you were doing as a child will indicate your psychic senses. What I would like for you to do is maybe take a breath, if you can be in that space, to alter just a teeny bit, and imagine or recall yourself as a child. And as you were interacting with the world, how was that happening? How were you interacting with the world? Because as a child interacts with the world, they've already created the inner world first. They've already activated their inner world of psychic and imaginative and intuitive senses, and then they just involve the outer world. You as a child, can you imagine? And there's no right way or wrong way to do this. This is in this moment, you tapping into that. Was this child version of you interacting with the world through being excited by what he or she saw, what he or she felt? Were they lying on the grass? Were they looking for the ladybugs? Were they enjoying putting things together and loved the way the colors came together? Were they singing songs or talking to plants and animals and unicorns and butterflies and fairies? All of those different ways that this child that you were interacted with the world. And again, this isn't about being factual. This is imagining you as a child and imagining who you were as a child and how you were playing. How does your inner child play? That, if you let that be fun, definitely don't let it be factual, definitely don't try to make it right. Have fun with it. This will both activate your latent, if you want to call it that, or the senses that you might not be recognizing, and it'll indicate those ones that are perfectly natural for you, because your child version of yourself knew exactly what his or her psychic senses were. Well, they didn't know what they were, they just were. They were being, they were experiencing them. And so that play of the inner child is a real indicator of how you have psychic abilities and your intuitive sense of the world. Now, it's also how the inner child had no veil, had no separation between you and the world of the non-physical. And you may not remember that you saw Grandpa at the end of your bed, like some people say, oh, I've always been a medium because Grandpa came to me when he passed away. You may not remember that. It may have happened for you and you don't remember it. And I'll tell you why. Because again, your psychic senses are so natural to you, you may not recognize them. That kind of occurrence is so natural for a child that you don't remember it. It didn't need to be crystallized and remembered. It was just normal for a child. You may not have spoken about it because, you didn't have a lot of language to speak about things. You were just experiencing. And, or you may have mentioned it and your parents or caregivers have just thought, yeah, that's fun, whatever. Maybe you didn't say grandpa, you're saying there's a man. And they're like, yep, man, whatever. There's many different reasons, because children have no filter between themselves and the world of spirit or the world of non-physical. This is why most kids are fascinated with nature spirits and fairies and unicorns and other kinds of what we think are imaginary. But in fact, they are real. They are true in spirit. They are true in the non-physical. So imagine what the child version of you, or if you want to think of it as your inner child, how he or she is interacting with the world and what senses are most delicious and fun. And that's a great indication of what abilities are online for you today.